plan weddings, events, and elopements here in Wisconsin and Minnesota. A few things about me. I'm a mom to a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. I moved to the Chequamegon Bay area from Indiana 6 years ago with my husband. I absolutely love the outdoors, which is why we wanted to move here. I started my business in the fall of 2014. By the end of this coming season, which will be my 4th, I will have planned and coordinated almost 60 weddings, events, and elopements. Many ask how I came about starting my wedding planning business. In college, I worked at a wedding venue for an in-house caterer for 3 years. This gave me an incredible amount of experience for weddings and events. I have always loved planning and hosting parties, so after planning and designing my own wedding and helping a few friends, I really discovered my passion. When we moved to the Bayfield area, I began to realize what a great destination wedding spot we have here, and that there weren't any wedding planners to assist all of the couples getting married. Right about this time, my son was 6 months old, and I was thinking of ways to work from home. After doing a lot of research, work, and dreaming, Lace and Brass Events was born. A year and a half ago, I created our all-inclusive elopement packages, right when I was starting to see an interest for small, intimate weddings. I anticipated this interest would grow, and I was most definitely right. Even though I still do plan larger weddings, I have many clients who are having weddings with 20 or less guests. I really love planning both large and small weddings, so this allows us to have the best of both worlds. The wedding industry is always changing and updating. It's incredibly important as a wedding planner and a business owner to be aware of how weddings are changing so you can adapt, update, and be in the front line of these changes and trends. In the beginning, when starting Lace and Brass Events, there wasn't too much investment for starting up. My husband and I were able to support the startup ourselves, as it really only included fees for my website, client and event management systems, joining the local chamber, and advertising. Most of the startup and continuation has been a lot of work and effort put into creating packages, designing our website, fine-tuning contracts, creating our client management systems, and so on. Of course, there's much more that goes into running a business, but I've always made sure to be efficient in everything I do. When creating new services, I would make sure that everything was worked through, set up, and ready, so if someone contacted me an hour after I launched, I was ready. I've approached everything in my business this way, and which I believe is a reason for its success. Right when I started my business, I joined the Bayfield Chamber of Commerce as I felt and still feel that this was a great choice for advertising and marketing. Not only does it get my business in front of my ideal clients, but I'm able to network and get to know the local business owners. This community has been so supportive and helpful throughout the different stages of my business. I am also a member of the Madeleine Chamber and pay a small fee to advertise on a Midwest wedding website. The rest of my advertising budget is spent through Google Ads. This has really been a game changer for me. I'm able to create an ad and choose the gender, age, and interests and location for who it's shown to, and then Google does the rest. A very important tool for my business is social media, specifically Instagram and Facebook, and using those daily. Social media, at least for the wedding industry, is incredibly important, not only for reaching possible clients, but to get your name and work out in front of locals, other wedding vendors, and anyone really. I've had couples tell me before that if they couldn't find a wedding vendor on social media or see their work within a few clicks, that they were moving to find somebody else. I do pay occasionally to advertise through Facebook, but it's really not much at all. Most of what I do on social media is free. It gives Lace and Brass Events credibility, puts my work out there, allows my followers to get me to know me somewhat on a personal level, and lets me connect more with wedding vendors in Wisconsin and Minnesota. Another great and free way I've been able to advertise is by working very hard to have our work featured in magazines and online blogs. To get a wedding featured, you must submit the wedding by answering questions, sending a small gallery of photos, and working with the couple and photographer. Then, of course, it has to be accepted. Like Mary Lois had mentioned, we've had 3 weddings featured in Dainty Obsessions magazine, each with 8 pages of photos, which is essentially free advertising. We've also had weddings and elopements featured in Minnesota Bride Weddings magazine and Lake Bride magazine. Even though I don't think we book many clients that see us in these magazines, I feel it is great exposure. My biggest challenge while running my business has been finding the balance between being a mom and wife and running a business full-time from home. With a 4- and 2-year-old, it requires a lot of multitasking, some late nights, and learning to put work down and be present with my family. When you work from home, it's easy to always be working on something, whether you're writing emails, working on social media, writing blog posts, or planning. It's still something that I continue to work on, but it has gotten easier over time as I become more and more efficient and prioritize my to-do lists and workload. One of the biggest keys to success for my business is knowing who my ideal clients are, how to get my business in front of them, and then how to book them. My ideal clients are couples between the ages of 25 to 45 years old. They're looking to have their destination wedding or elopement in Wisconsin or Minnesota, specifically the Bayfield, Madam Island, Duluth, or North Shore area. They're a more laid-back couple who loves the outdoors. These couples are finding me on social media, on Google, or through a local vendor or venue. I think this lesson is very important for business owners because not knowing who your ideal clients are can waste money, time, and your effort. Knowing who my ideal client is allows me to focus on them and politely and comfortably say no thank you to those who aren't a good fit for us. Another key to success for Lace and Brass events is our reputation and client experience. From initial inquiry through the wedding day, I've made a point to respond promptly. It's amazing what an impression this makes. I've designed my website to be very informative for couples, listing our packages, prices, reviews, and pictures of our work. I send a welcome gift after we are booked and genuinely care for my clients. I built great vendor relationships who recommend us to their clients and vice versa. Although almost all of our clients do not live here, many have vacation homes, family members that live here, or have some connection in a way. Social media, networking, being involved in the community, and working with local vendors has been such an asset for my business. As you can see on the slide, we have many beautiful and kind reviews from previous clients. Thanks to these clients and their reviews, Lace and Brass Events has been awarded Wedding Wire's Couples Choice Awards 2018 and 2017, and the Not Best of Weddings Top Pick 2018. Planning and designing is my passion, and to have built my own business out of this has been a dream come true, as cliche as that sounds. When starting Lace and Brass Events, I had aspirations on how it would grow, and it has done exactly that and more. Not only do I get to do what I love, but it's incredible to have a flexible schedule, be able to be home with my kids, and be my own boss. To quote from a review written by one of my sweet brides from last year, Emily, the most down-to-earth, serene, grounded, thoughtful soul you may ever meet in the wedding business. And the thing is, it's not just business for Emily, because besides her family, weddings are her passion and true love. I'm so thankful for this beautiful community, the local business owners, friends and family who have supported me, and this wonderful opportunity to speak to all of you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Let me close out of here. So next up, thank you, Emily. Next up we have Jackson. Jackson Kaisar moved here from North Dakota in July of 2014. He owns and operates Jack's Store and Burger Barn in Marengo with his wife Stacy. Jackson spent his career in the gas station and food service industry. He has a true passion for customer service and marketing. He opened up Jack's Store Incorporated in the shuttered Marengo Plaza in November of 2014. The Burger Barn opened 2 years ago and has become a popular burger choice for Ashland County. Jackson and Stacey have since decided to move the Burger Barn to Ashland, in the middle of all the action. So Jackson, if you'd like to come up here and give us your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Lois. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jackson Kaiser, owner of Jack's Store in Marengo, and then also the Burger Barn, which we're now moving here into Ashland in the old Buddy's Burger building. I'm not as organized as the last presenter, but we've been busy working on the building, so I haven't put much thought to this. We're going to wing it tonight, so bear with me. When I got the questions, I really had to look back at kind of where this all started. How did I get here? And I had to ask myself, how in the world did I get in the C-store business? And it really started back when we moved to North Dakota. I moved there right out of high school. I was 18. I actually quit a few classes that I was enrolled in the local community college. I was taking a running start program. So I actually canceled those classes and ended up moving. My dad had decided we should go out there because he'd been having some issues with the economy downturn and all that. So we decided to go give North Dakota a shot. So we moved there, I think March 11th of 2011 is when I stepped or crossed the North Dakota border. And it was kind of exciting. We didn't know what we were doing. We originally thought we'd get into the construction business, but that didn't go as planned. My cousin, or a couple days into being there, my cousin came to where we were staying. He says, "Hey Jackson, you want to run a gas station?" I looked at him, I said, "Well, sure." So that's kind of how it all started. He drove past a little gas station in the town of Alexander, North Dakota, and he saw a for sale sign in the window. And he said he just saw all the trucks and the vehicles, and I mean, there was a lot of traffic. He thought, what better thing to be in than gas and selling goodies. So that's kind of where it all starts. And we opened that store April of 2011, and it was absolutely crazy. I mean, we'd get in there in the morning, open the doors, and it was a steady stream of people from pretty much open to close. I believe one morning I counted between the two, me and one of my employees, 120 transactions in 1 hour, and that was flying. So that's kind of how I got into the C-store business. We heard there was a truck bypass coming around Alexander, so we thought, well, we got to do something because that was going to put us to sleep. So we purchased land 2 miles south of Alexander on a junction of 2 main highways, and actually just outside of where the bypass was the projected bypass was. So we bought the property there. We built a truck stop from the ground up. It was a 13,500 square foot building. We had a clothing department, a restaurant, a large C-store, showers, a lounge. So it was quite a fun event or adventure. So we went there with a 2-year plan, and by this time we'd been getting close to that 2-year window that we were hoping to be there. So as soon as we opened that truck stop, we hired on a realtor to help us out and try to sell this building or this business. And he immediately contacted Love's and Travel Centers of America and all these bigger truck stop companies, because he thought, you know what, they'd be all over it. So we opened the doors. In the meantime, we're talking to all these potential buyers, and it was it was absolutely crazy. I look back and think that it was crazy. That's all I can say. I mean, it was. I'll give you one number: 35,000 gallons of diesel fuel a day. That's 4 to 5 tankers of diesel fuel. So it was nonstop, 24/7. We had a staff of 65, so that was also quite challenging. There it was pretty much, if you had a pulse, we'd hire you, because it was tough. And there were some that hardly had a pulse, I promise. So we'd about 6 months into it, we knew that we had a potential buyer, and we started making trips back to Wisconsin, wondering what we're going to do next. We were either going to head west to Washington or come east to Marengo, where my wife Stacy's from. In the meantime, we came out here on a trip, or a couple trips, and I told her as we drove through Marengo, I said, someday we're going to own that gas station. And we laughed and said, yeah, right. Well, the sale of the truck stop, which we sold to Travel Centers of America, that was coming to coming to a close or going to be final. So we decided we better, make some calls to some realtors and find some property. So I called up Jay Emmert and said, "Hey Jay, I need a place to live. We found this place. Can we come out there and look at it?" So we arranged for that, and in the meantime, we're talking about, what am I going to do? I didn't know what I was going to do. And he says, "Hey Jackson, do you know that gas station in Moringa's for sale?" I said, "Jay, shut up. I ain't doing it." And at that point, I didn't have any intentions to. I put down the phone and I was talking to Stacy and I said, "Hey, the store's for sale?" She says, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, we're not interested." She said, "Well, why not?" So I started thinking about it. I thought, well, I enjoy being around the customers, and that's really what I like to do is be engaged with the customers and the marketing and all that stuff. So I thought, well, I guess we're going to try her out. So we closed up the sale on the travel center after being there 11 and a half months. So Travel Centers America bought it, and the day they closed, we took off. We headed east. The rest of the family went west. So that was kind of a tough thing to do. But once we got here, there was a lot. It was in foreclosure or went to a receiver. So there was a lot of back and forth and a lot of time spent trying to figure out, trying to get this thing closed. And actually, at one point, I called up Jay and I said, "You know what, Jay?" I said, "If we don't have it closed by the end of September, we're not interested. I gotta move on." Thank goodness we purchased a little hobby farm in Moringa where I spent a lot of my time making hay and just relaxing. Totally shut down for about it was probably about 2 months that I just sat on the tractor and enjoyed it. So we finally did close on the gas station there. And I don't know if many of you have been out there, but it's a large building. It's actually 7,500 square feet. So I got in there and I thought, what are we going to do with this now? So we had one side of it that was set up for a gas station, and other than we did do some remodeling, and then also we replaced all the pumps, basically everything but the tanks. So we had new pumps, new lines. New concrete, new signs, all that. So that in itself was quite a project, but we still had another, it must have been about 5,500 square feet to work with. So we tried all sorts of different things. We put in, at one point, I think we had it just closed right away. And then we tried doing some bird seed and that kind of a thing. We actually sold chickens one year, baby chicks out of there. I don't know, I think we sold a couple thousand birds. It was crazy. And believe it or not, baby chicks are an impulse buy. I had a couple people come in and said, "I had no plan of buying a chick, but I'm going home with one." And they buy all the waters and feed and everything to go with it. So it worked out pretty well. But I actually had an idea to put in a restaurant there right away, but I decided against it because it was just we had too much going on. So this has been 2.5 years ago, so we've been running that for just over a year. And I said, okay, the bird seed and the feed, that ain't quite working. We got to do something else. It's time to do a restaurant. So we just started throwing paint on the walls and did a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and started. We didn't know what we were doing. It just kind of pieced itself together. We'd already had the kitchen built because we knew at some point this is what we wanted to do. So we had the fryers and the grill and all of that we were selling more as a quick service concept. So we just needed to add the dining room. So we went with a rustic theme. Obviously, the burger barn. We had I contacted a good friend or a friend of mine from Washington who's a cartoonist. And he has really brought us to where we're at now. He designed our logo, and then he's designed our menu. Basically, all the materials that you see, the advertising materials, he's done. And I'll send him an email and I say, "Hey, Austin, this is what I want." And it comes back 110%. I mean, every time. other than a few grammatical errors I have to correct. But other than that, he's on it. So that's kind of where we're at now. Where we opened up, started selling burgers. It was really a hit the first year. We had the flood come through. That kind of slowed us down for, it was almost a year that recovering from that. People wouldn't come down south because they heard there was road construction or roads were washed out. And we couldn't blame them. Then last year we had the road construction again. And we're coming up on another year where there's going to be another major road project. So we thought, we gotta do something. We either sit here and complain about why we're not busy, or we do something about it and hope that helps. So we decided to look at coming into Ashland. And I'd originally wanted to be on US 2, but the investment was too big there. I went into Buddy's and looked at it a few times and thought, nah, this is, I want to take a step up, when we come into Ashland, and it needed a lot of help. So we looked at a few different things in different places, and we came back to Buddy's, and it fit the budget. And I walked in there and thought, well, I guess we can throw some paint on the walls and fix the floor and do something with it. So that's where we're at now. We're in the process of constructing the dining room. We're not going to do anything to the outside until we get about a year or two into it to have some cash flow. I'm kind of getting a little sidetracked here. So I guess we're at the point where we're either going to close it down for good or move. And I just had a hard time closing it down. We really had a lot of time and effort and money poured into this, and we had 2 years of experience. That those are the toughest 2 years. I thought we can't throw it away. So that's and then also the marketing aspect of it. That's what I enjoy, is creating new items, different promotions and all that, and seeing what the result is. Now, we used a few different ways of financing our businesses. Obviously, in North Dakota, that was all my dad was in on that, so we dealt with the bank, and Dad helped us out quite a bit there. But here, when we got to back into Wisconsin, we worked with Northern State Bank. They have the mortgage on the store there. And then for the restaurant, my dad's also part of this one, so he kicked in. And then Chippewa Valley Bank, and then also Ashland Area Development Corp. I worked with Betsy and Kate, excellent people. They actually just picked up the check today from their office, so that was pretty cool to take advantage of the revolving loan fund. Good interest rate. It's a 10-year term, so that was pretty cool. So at the gas station, our primary customers are obviously the locals and passerbys. It's really tough, and this is why I like the restaurant business. Is in a gas station, you sell a Snickers, you sell a Mountain Dew, you sell a pack of Marlboros, whatever. It's a quick trip down the road. Someone else down the road has that. It's really hard to find something that someone else doesn't have. We do have some bakery, we do have a few things that nobody else has, but really in general, anything that you come to Jack's store for, you can find somewhere else. So it kind of takes the fun out of it. Where at the restaurant, we can draw. We can create something that nobody else can create, a recipe or something, and get the energy and stuff behind it to get people to want to drive. I mean, we had people driving down from Red Cliff, from Odena, out in Iron River, up in Muckwa, coming down to Marengo, which is quite a drive. And that all goes to, I guess we really have to credit our word-of-mouth advertising and Facebook. I mean, we've really built the Burger Barn on Facebook. I started off there with nothing, and we just started posting pictures of food and different things, and you won't believe the response we've got from that. So that's been a lot of fun. We've been toying around with it. We have done some stuff with Google. We are with the Ashland Area Chamber of Commerce, which always does a good job promoting us. So we haven't done much with the papers. We haven't done much of that, but we have been successful with Facebook, and I feel as we go here, we'll continue to pound that. And what Facebook really does a good job of doing is people know you're there, but keep putting it out in front of them. Say, hey, we're still here. Hey, we're still here. Hey, we still got burgers. Because you won't believe, people do forget. They do. And I've had multiple people come in and say, hey, you know, we just saw you on Facebook, and it reminded us we need to come down and try you out. So it does work, but you have to be consistent with it. It's you know, you got to pound it. A couple times a week, you got to be getting on there and putting on posts. So obviously, being a business owner comes with its challenges. Being up here in a seasonal market, it's a cash flow thing. You get in the springtime when you're coming out of the slow winter blues, and you're really wishing summer would come faster. So that, I guess, that's probably the biggest thing I have a problem with, or what causes me to lose sleep is, hey, how are we going to get through this? How are we going to get into tomorrow? Also, coming from a business where you can't order enough. I mean, we could not have enough stuff on the shelves in North Dakota, to Marengo, where what can we get by? What's the minimum we can get by with? You know, so are we going to sell 2 this week? So that's really been hard for me because, yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's fun to order and try new things, but. And in North Dakota, you'd order something, you put it out, and it'd go. So I've struggled with that myself, and thanks to Stacy, she's always there to say, hey, do we really need it? You know, cut back this week, and we really don't need it. So, and then also the dealing with employees is fun and rewarding, but having to reprimand or to get after an employee is probably the worst part of my job. One of the things I would say that I wish one of the lessons I've learned is there's so many people out there with so many different services, whether it's, you know, the laundry guys or the time clock guy, or all these little things. Oh, it's only $30 a month, or oh, it's only $50 a month, and this is what you get. Well, yeah, that's not a very big amount of money month to month, but at the end of the year, or you combine all them month-to-month expenses, they do add up, and they do hurt. So, and they don't make you any more money. Maybe they make things a little better, but I think a lot of this stuff, if I would have stepped back and I would have looked at it and said, okay, you know what's my return going to be? What am I going to gain out of doing this? And a lot of the stuff we probably wouldn't have done. So that's one thing we look back at and think, oh, you know, probably should have done a few of these things. Also, with the vendors, I have found that there's always wiggle room. No matter, you know, they can always, you just got to pound on them. You got to pound on them, you know, beat the dead horse, because they do have wiggle room. They aren't going to want to give in unless you really are really on them. And then also, I guess the last thing I would say as far as what the lessons I have learned is, I really like to try to grow fast, and a lot of times that isn't the way to go. Some things it's been proper, but I'm a pusher. I like things to go, but there are times you just got to step back and let the business go. Let it work out. See how things are what's gonna happen. And I did that actually the last about 8 months at the Burger Barn. I stepped out, went and sold a little insurance with State Farm, and that actually was nice to get a break, let it grow naturally, see what's gonna happen. and it opened my eyes. I would come in there after selling insurance and have a whole different perspective on things. So the key to our success has been creating a brand and image that's irresistible. Talking and listening to customers and employees and building deep relationships with the community. And then also not being afraid to change or try new things. So those are really what have made us successful. And then I guess the best part of being an entrepreneur is obviously the flexibility. There's never been a time that I've had to tell someone I got to be at work in the morning so I can't come. So that's really been fun. It's I can make my own schedule. We can really do whatever we want. There's usually someone there that we can have to back us up. I get to use my creativity every day, and I never know what I'm going to see the next day. I mean, you go to bed and wake up in the morning and think, okay, what are we gonna see today? And then obviously meeting the people and the customers and employees. That's really the fun part. So I probably went a little over, probably dragging this out, but I do appreciate everybody or Mary for inviting us down, and Mary Lois for working with us, and I thank you guys all for coming.
Thank you, Jackson. Next, we have Heather Wilcox. Heather Wilcox is the owner of Idea Design Studio, LLC in Iron River. Heather has been a graphic designer for 17 years, and she opened her company in 2005. Her company is able to offer a wide selection of products and services that make it a virtual one-stop graphic studio for all design and business marketing needs. Welcome, Heather.
Hello, everyone. So mine's going to be kind of shorter. I went by the questionnaire more. So I was asked to explain where I got the idea for my business and what motivated me to start. I've always known that I wanted to be a graphic designer ever since I was little. So I was hired right out of college. I had got an associate degree of graphic design media. And I worked there for about 4 years. I was the youngest and everything, and I was very stressed out, and I felt really unappreciated. And when I figured out how much I was actually making an hour after traveling and daycare, it was around $4 an hour. And getting nickel raises for the year, I didn't know where it was leading and if it was going to ever go anywhere. Also, I had a young son at home, and I didn't get to see him much. Grandparents were picking him up from daycare and such. So those were some of the points that motivated me to think about starting my own business. I knew it was going to be difficult, but I thought I might as well try it. Basically, how I started out is I had a family financial backer that was willing to help me start out with equipment and everything. After the first year, I was able to write a business plan and actually go to the bank, and then paid him off, and then continued on, 12 years after that. So some of my primary customers are basically businesses. I'm able to do and create logos, business cards, brochures. I'm able to create card decals, business signage. I do t-shirts, I do embroidery. So that's where I kind of say it's a virtual one-stop, because you can really get anything, or I will be willing to try to make anything for you. That's kind of the fun part, maybe the designer in me that makes it fun and creative. And also, living in a small community like Iron River, really the whole town are your customers. You get asked very strange and unusual things, but you try to accommodate everyone as far as writing or typing letters who have arthritis that can't type, or sending a fax, or helping with a resume. And a lot of times there wasn't equipment in town for them to be able to go and fax or such, and especially with the library expansion and renovation, there wasn't anywhere to do that. I also do have a storefront at my office that I sell Iron River apparel or Northwestern is in the school district, so I have apparel for them to purchase there. As I think they only have a school store within the school, which a lot of people can't access that. And then I also do have South Shore apparel as my sons go there to school. So that's basically about it there, and then just kind of showcase some different products. I make canvas gallery wraps. I have a couple samples up there of my sons and herbs for beach. Just kind of fun. The means for advertising over 13 years, when I first started out, I really used a lot of newspaper advertising. And at the end of the year, I looked at that number and realized I don't think it's helping that much. Personally, people still hadn't heard of me. They didn't know who I was. And the money that was spent on it, I just didn't know if it was beneficial. So I really tried the hardest I could to create quality work and have people come back and be more of a word-of-mouth business. I've also hosted events for exposure. We're on our 8th annual Easter egg hunt that we do for the community. It's wonderful that the businesses have pitched in to help, provide candy and volunteer work, and it's really becoming a great event. It was our largest event this year. I think there was 150 kids that attended in the snow. So we were panicking a little bit, but there's pavilions down in Winley Park, and everything seemed to work out really well. I've also used online advertising, Facebook and like iFan. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but they stream live sporting events. So I've used both of those, but you really do have to keep on up with them, and I'm already busy with other projects, so I just don't find the time. I will post customers' events that I do, posters or anything like that, and they seem to appreciate that. And I kind of combined this with the biggest challenges and lessons learned. I don't know where to start with that, I guess. After 13 years, you really learn along the way. Some of the biggest challenges have been not knowing or the knowledge of operating a business. I have a graphic design degree, but I didn't really know anything about operating a business. I just took a chance. So I found with that there was a lot of paperwork that most designers don't really care for, but I figured it out. Whether filing sales tax or dealing with payroll, it just was a lot and overwhelming, but I got it all figured out, and after a couple of years in, I was able to hire an accountant, which helped a lot, with all the financial stuff. Another trying thing or challenging thing would be maintaining capital when it's a seasonal area. Basically, before Memorial Day, everyone wants their items, and then that's it. So when school will start, and there's a lot of school apparel that we do, we're fundraising for them. But January, February, March, April tend to be very, very quiet, which I've just kind of learned to catch up on my work, or I've been trying for a couple of years now to get my website up and running with Roger Peck, who's wonderful. And then also another thing is collecting payments from accounts. That can be difficult. I've had to get some collection agencies involved, and it's really difficult when you're in a small community. It's just not ideally what you want to do. Some of the success, I believe, for my business is that, I know the trade of my business. It's graphic design. If anyone comes in, I can take their idea, make it into a logo, make it into a business card, make it into a t-shirt. I don't have to hire anyone to do that. I'm always able to do that. I can do anything in my shop, screen print shirts, anything. So I think that's really beneficial, is knowing your trade and being okay at it, I guess. And then the best part of being an entrepreneur is you get what you put into it. And I think that's very important. I work a lot. I work 16-hour days when I needed to. And I enjoy it, I guess. I'm just really stubborn and don't give up. Even when life throws you lemons, you just keep on doing it and just rubbing it. So I also do have 3 sons, a 18-year-old that's graduating, actually next month, 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. So it's kind of a big stretch there, but I'm flexible enough with owning my own business that I can go to the sporting events. If there's a sick child, he can come to the office. I have a nice little kid area with a couch and a TV and some toys, and that's been very beneficial as well. So basically with that said, I guess after 13 years, I'm still doing it, so thanks.
Next we have Will Whiting. Will Whiting moved back to Ashland in 2017 and opened his business on May 1st, 2017. Lone Wolf Marine and Recreation LLC is a marine and small engine repair business that services Ashland and the surrounding area. Will is a certified marine repair technician and power sports enthusiast. He has had a very busy first year with many boats, side-by-sides, four-wheelers, snowmobilers, and power equipment. He is dedicated to running a successful business. Will, you come on up. I'll get you a chair.
Well, thank you all for coming tonight. I actually prefer if you just get back up here, Jackson. I'd like to hear some more. I'm still very new to this. Like she said, we opened a year ago, so I still feel like I should be sitting in them seats there. I'd like more advice. We always seem to be learning every day. I don't think you can not learn something. Being a little older and just kind of going through life sure is interesting. So I have to say, when we thought about doing this, I had really been thinking about doing small engines since I was a young kid. I kind of enjoyed dirt bikes and ATVs and such. And my mom had always told me that if you want to actually get somewhere, you can't just be a mechanic. You actually got to own a business. I didn't think that was very good as a young man. That didn't sound very pleasing to me. So I ended up taking the marine repair program, and I think I graduated in 2010. I ended up moving out to South Dakota. I had met my wife, Caitlin Bellica, there, and I went to work for her father as a crane operator. And I was there in the Dakotas for 7 years. Being out there was sure interesting. I sure learned a lot. One thing I can say, if there was anyone here younger than me, I don't think there is, pretty much. I see Annika back there, but for the most part, I got pushed towards, doing things before I thought I was ready. For instance, running equipment. I went there and told them that I could run a skid steer. No, not the way they were running them. I was, working here at some dairy farms and cleaning some barns, but that's about it. When we were getting out there, we were getting pretty precise with them. I think I was 20 years old, and I was in a 60-ton crane, and before I knew it, I was in the position where a couple of our employees were getting sick and whatnot, and we were just down on operators, and I ended up getting shoved in those bigger cranes. And I shouldn't use the word shoved, because I always thought I wanted to be there. But when you actually get there and you're the guy setting up the job, boy, it was sure an eye-opener. But I have to say, I got to thank my father-in-law for that. He had a lot of confidence in me, and we ended up getting through that. And so, all in all, running that equipment, I kind of learned that the only thing holding us back, for the most part, is probably us and just a lack of confidence. And I fight that from day to day. We're worried about stuff that we've never done before. If we've done it before, it's pretty easy. So sure enough, 7 years later, I wasn't just a crane operator. I was the foreman of our crane crew, and I was scheduling the jobs and going out and checking them. And all in all, I saw that I had topped out in my position there, and I was still looking for something more. And me and my wife had kind of talked about moving, trying something new. Well, I had this marine repair technician program that I had taken, and I knew, obviously I came back here and visited quite often, and Todd Blakeman had passed away So his business, I think John ran it for a little while. He did small engines. He didn't do boats. But I know Hudbox was in town. And then Hudbox moved to Iron River, and I could just kind of see an opening. And I thought, well, why not? I'm still fairly young. Life is short. And me and my wife talked about it, and it was a tough decision. We had built a house out there in Aberdeen, the ground up, and also I have to kind of thank the company I work for. They had just about all the resources I need from the concrete ground up. I was able to use them for a lot. So we ended up making the decision that we wanted to do this, and we found the location where we're at out there on Highway 2 and 63. A lot of you probably know it as the old Seachin place. Anyway, we had been seeing it was for sale, and we kind of kept an eye on it, and finally we made the decision, and I want to say it was at least a year in advance. I gave my father-in-law my year notice. I told him, I said, I think I'm going to try something else. And we had originally had different plans, and he said he could kind of see it coming. So from there on out, the ball just about took off rolling, and I just about couldn't keep up with it. From trying to line up what I was going to do for suppliers, or tools, parts, etc., and then getting the house sold, and then if we could lock down this place, sure, it was all fairly exciting, I must say. Everything happened quicker than I would have expected. Our house sold. We didn't have to get a realtor involved. Company came in, bought it, just about booted us out. So here we had this money. I went and bought this place, and got all our suppliers lined up, and it was I don't know, an exciting time. There's no doubt. And I think I walked in with a lot more energy than I left with, let's put it that way. Being out there, it was sure interesting to see the rest of the world, let's just say. I have to say, though, obviously it hasn't been just easy running or getting that place started. I think it's probably my wife and my 4 children that have taken the biggest step just to kind of let me achieve my dreams and goals. So I sure have to thank them. We did get started on May 1st of 2017, and it's been fairly exciting for the most part. Let's just put it that way. Like Jackson said, there's some days you kind of wonder, how things are going to go, and then also the next day, and I know it's a mistake because as soon as I think that way, I swear I get swamped, and then I cannot simply move in that yard because there's enough stuff in there, and now I got to hurry up and get stuff moving. So. I know there was a saying that I'd kind of watched some motivational videos here or there, and I know some guys had said if you enjoy what you do, you don't work a day in your life. So this has always kind of been something that I really wanted to do, and seeing that the area could use it, it kind of started a little thought in my head that if you help people, that's probably where success is. Money isn't necessarily, how would you say? Money is necessary, but if you can help people, that's probably the biggest thing. I think the money follows afterwards. So I kind of thought, what, let's just go with this. I got to try and run it on my own at the same time. I'll get my wife out there from time to time, but for the most part, I'm in there and I'm listening to them lights hum myself. So I gotta do something to. Oh, it's not changing here. Oh, there we go. To get my own drum beating. Some days it does get kind of tough, but getting back to that financing, we were able to use the money that we had from our house sale to buy this place, and then like others have mentioned, the cash flow. It took a little while to get things rolling. It doesn't just come rolling in through the door with open arms. You gotta get working, and it'll slowly come around. There's there we go. Our kind of working with the customer base has also been a part of it. I know I've had some customers that have come in and they just want something small fixed, and a guy's got to kind of learn what to pick and choose. When I first opened, I was taking everything. Oh yeah, bring it in. We'll get it running one way or another. And it's not that anything can't get running, and I might be getting a little too in-depth for some people here, but this being my hobby, I can let emotion run too far to where I care too much about the project, and the guy's got to stop and realize at some point that this is how I run or earn my living. This is how I support my wife and my kids. If this isn't going to be profitable in the end, then we just got to part ways, to work with the customer and say, you know what, I think something here could be done differently. Maybe we should do this, or let's look at other options. I don't know that my services are necessary here. We do strive for giving the best quality possible for anyone in the marine, the ATV, the snowmobile, dirt bikes, motorcycles, whatever it may be, and even the power equipment. I know there have been a few guys that, with, say, your chainsaws, cut quick saws, cement mixers. It seemed kind of silly, but I had guys calling me with them, and a few of them told me, they just said there's nowhere to bring them to. I thought, well, why not? Anything's a motor, let's fix it. So it's been very interesting. We've got customers from the commercial side to residential, and that was one thing when I was doing the crane operating. We dealt with more a commercial setting where you'd end up sitting around waiting, making sure that everything was okay. Whereas now I'm speaking direct one-on-one with the customer. It's actually really neat some days, and if I'm not careful, I'll get too busy visiting with people in there, and sure enough, it's amazing how fast that clock can go. I don't know what kind of batteries it has in it, but they will move if you're not careful. I can honestly say, when we first got going though, as far as challenges, I had no good cell service in there at Verizon. I had no landline, I had no internet, and trying to order parts. I mean, a lot of guys told me, they said, you're on your phone all the time. I said, I'm just trying to get some parts ordered here. I'm running around the parking lot looking like a crazy man with my phone. But it was necessary, and honestly, I think about it now, I would go berserk if I had to do that. I'm running in, I'm on the computer. If I'm on it for a few minutes, get my parts ordered, perfect. And I'm back in the shop, moving on something else. But that was sure interesting, trying to get through. One thing I've been dealing with, and it seems like it's happening a little more lately, is we're all human. People make mistakes, and believe it or not, my stinking suppliers can send some dandy parts. You order one thing, and what you get is a total another, and you just told the customer you're going to have his machine or whatever it is done the next day, and you're kind of going, oh boy. Well, we've been able to work through it. Most everybody here has been excellent. I can honestly say that the area has just been awesome. Everybody here, the locals to even the people coming through, tourists in the summer, it's been wonderful. I can't complain. It's just been a good learning experience for me. Yeah, if I can give any advice to anyone who is starting a business, I would tackle the accountant side, or just all the paperwork side, all of that, get that done and taken care of right away. I'm not the best at it. Usually my wife gives me the hand. But our best bet was getting an accountant and just getting squared away with QuickBooks right away. That way everything was documented, and I didn't mind writing out them invoices, but pretty soon Caitlin, maybe I was writing a little quicker, I had some grease on my hand or whatever it may be, and it was kind of frustrating dealing with later. So if I were able to tell someone, just do that right away. I would definitely take a business course. I can't say that I ever have. I just kind of, like Jackson, I had fallen into the craning industry, and then slowly started thinking about what I actually wanted to do with my life. I thought, well, if I can actually do the work, I think the rest of it ought to be pretty easy. Some days I'm pretty certain that's not the truth. That everything's just a joy. But I can honestly say, getting back to listening to the lights in that shop, owning a business, you certainly have to be determined. There are some days, man, I kind of forget. It's like, oh shoot, I got to go work on that thing again. Oh yeah, wait a minute, this is what I enjoy doing. Oh, I'll scamper right out there and hurry up and get it done. But it is, I think I'm probably just as bad as some of the other, I've seen some business owners and they're energetic and awesome, and I'd love to learn from some of them guys. Because some days I feel like I can get spun too many different ways, and then by the end of the day, has any of it made a difference? Probably not. So I got to stay a little more focused. And I think that all comes with time. There again, that doesn't just happen right away. But also budgeting. You know, we can't spend more than we earn. If we do, that's, I think, what they would call debt. So if there's anyone thinking about starting a business or whatever it may be, obviously that's probably just the simplest principle. And boy, I have a tough time with it. It really sucks when this is my hobby and I'm paging through all them books, looking at the new stuff coming out, and sales are coming up, and it's like, wait a minute, no, I got to be selling this stuff. I'm not supposed to be buying it for myself here. So it's sure been fun though, I have to say. All in all, I have to thank everybody for coming out, and I really am thankful for the community, for the people that have been coming to the shop, giving us support. I see Bob's back there. You know, getting help from other businesses has been wonderful. There's been a lot of guys that have been able to give me advice. My father-in-law will take a call if I have questions on how I should be billing something, or even, you know, how. I often wondered that. We would go out on a crane job and I would get so frustrated. I'd spend time out there making something happen, and all of a sudden they'd get a call back at the office that the guys did a poor job and it took them way too long. And I'd get back there and I'd tell everybody, but you should have seen the site conditions. And it was a worthless battle, because in the end my father-in-law would just give the guy a break and keep moving on. And I said, what did you do that for? I sweated my butt off trying to get that done. And he goes, he's going to bring us more business. Just relax. Go out there and do this now. Okay, so obviously there's a lot here that I can learn, and I sure would like to spend a lot more time with people like that have been there. But yeah, for the most part, we're almost a year into it now. May 1st, 2018 will be exactly a year, so we'll see how it is again in a year. Talk to me then, I'll have a better idea. I'm still pretty fresh compared to everybody here, so. Well, yeah, I sure want to say thank you to all my family for all the support that I've gotten, to my friends and relatives, and some of the suppliers and people that have been able to help us. So, and thank you all for coming tonight.